Oklahoma, Georgia. You think? What do you think? Is that right? Rob, what do you think? And it would have, or we'll talk about it later.
Guys got off to a little bit of a slow start at first, but things really started clicking midway through the first half. What allowed them to start going?
Well, you're right. I mean, we start the very first game, and Kyle threw the ball out of bounds, not doing what we were supposed to do on the very first possession to get the movement. We knew that Corpus Christi was going to be back in there, you know, switching, keeping it tight, and we knew that we needed to get player movement, ball movement, and I didn't think we did a great job of that really throughout the entire game. I thought our running game was good, but you know, we were putting them in longer possessions, a lot like it happened a year ago. They were running a lot of motion with ball screens and you know side to side, and we were getting deep into the possession. But after really about the 10-minute mark, I thought our defense was really good. And you look down, and they end up shooting 32%. And our zone was good to us. We went from a man press to a zone press that I thought changed at the end of the half. You know, we went to a zone, trapped out of it a little bit, just different looks. But offensively, we weren't. You look at it, the thing that I told the team that most upset me is the fact that by the stat sheet, we've got 2 guys with 9 turnovers, 2 guys that shouldn't be turnovers, but one of those should have been Jordan Bones. So we got 2 guys with 8 turnovers. And you can't put the ball over your head against a sagging defense and hold it and hold it and hold it and then think you're going to throw it in there. I don't care if we're a foot taller. We got 1 arm trying to catch the ball or 2 hands. They've got 6 in there trying to knock it down. That's what Eve did all day today, just driving and putting himself in trouble. But he missed a practice last week or leading up to this and only got to go a little bit yesterday, and he wasn't as sharp as he has been. But overall, I thought the guys out there at the end of the game ran offense better than we did all game because they did what we wanted to do, move the ball and move players.
What did you like most about what you got from Jordan Bowden tonight? Was that more the aggression you've been looking for?
Yeah, you know what? I thought he played his best game this year in terms of being active and being moving the ball, playing with confidence. I mean, I did. I just thought he had it going in terms of just relaxed, really, and wasn't too uptight and letting it come to him. And we do know. Let me see his line here. Yeah, I mean, you look at his line. He did a great job. Bone. You look at. I thought you look at his stat line. He did have 1 turnover, but I thought he had great command of the game, even though he didn't shoot the ball particularly well. I thought he was really looking to run, and he kept telling those guys. And when you're playing against a sagging team like that, you get stops you need to convert. You really do. And he was on top of that part of it. But he and Bowden, I thought both of them did a pretty good job today, or a very good job today, running the point position for us. But our post guys weren't very active, and we needed them to do more than they did.
Lamonte's shoulder still bothering him, or are you just trying to rest him in a situation where you have a week off?
Well, he came back in the 2 games he plays. He was very ineffective, and we told him if you got whether it's psychological or whether it's physical, you got to get it right, and because he just was not effective in either one of those games that he played, and so we told him whatever you got to do, and only you know it, and he's continuing to do his rehabilitation, and I told him when you're 100%, you come out. And until you do, because the way you played the last 2 games, we're not going to play you anyway.
Just with Gonzaga coming up Sunday, how do you feel, just big picture, where y'all are heading into that game now?
We're not where we should be defensively, and I do know this. I think they're the best offensive basketball team in the country. What I've seen of them, his teams have always been extremely tough offensively. When you go back and from our time at Texas, we scrimmaged them every year for 10, 12 years, and I've always had great respect for what they do. They know exactly how they want to play. They know who they're going to play through, and they're solid all the way around. But I've always thought of his teams were just really exceptional offensive teams, and I think right now they're arguably the best offensive team in the country.
Rick, with Lamonte's shoulder, was that going into sort of preseason stuff, was it a big concern then? And when when did you start to think that it might affect him this much this season, at least early on?
Well, I didn't know it would. I mean, he had the surgery. He's had two of them on the same arm, and so I can't tell you. I mean, the exact same surgery, and what they've done with the MRI and stuff is showing that there might be a little tendonitis and all that. But I've had two of those shoulder injuries, and I know it can be very painful when you're trying to pull it up or certain position it pinches and it comes across the nerve, or I mean, it's tough. But those things happen, and that's why you hope that you've got a bench and guys that are ready to step up and play those minutes. And I mean, it happens. I mean, it can happen anytime. And the concern started when probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, when he just felt like, I mean, you started watching his shot. I mean, he was shooting a shot that we hadn't seen him shoot, and he was favoring his shoulder, trying to get the ball up, and we knew that he couldn't continue to do that. And that's when we decided to set him down a little bit, and then he tried to come back. And but the way he played those last 2 games, he couldn't help us playing like that. And then we said, if it's your shoulders bothering you, you're just going to have to get it right.
Coach, it looked in the first half, kind of when you guys got it going, that Kyle kind of gave you some juice. And I mean, if you agree with that, I mean, does that I mean, it's sort of unusual. He's not really an energy guy a lot of times.
Kyle should be doing so much more, Rob. I mean, he's a senior. He's been here, and I mean, you look at his line. He's 12 for 10, and again, I don't know who. I'm trying to think of who was running the lane, the pipe, when that Bone tried that behind the back pass, but I don't know who they gave. I mean, that's how incompetent Tom is with our stats, that he gives it, Bone turns it over. You knew he turned it over, right? Yeah. But I don't know who they gave that to. But still, Kyle had 4 turnovers, and he should not turn the ball over. And if he'll just get ready to do his work, and you know what? He should have that and more every night, is what I think. 12 and 10. And again, we spent, was it yesterday or the day before, 20 minutes just making everybody throw him the ball and see if he could score the ball without dribbling it in practice. And you'd be amazed what he did. But we tell him, you got to do that when the lights come on. And John Fulkerson has to do that. I mean, he had a chance to shoot a jump hook, which he's really good at, turns the ball over, trying to drop it down to Derek. But we need Kyle, and we need Folky to do that, to give us some more scoring inside. And we will be at our best when those guys are doing that. I promise you, we will be at our, because Grant Williams and Admiral are getting tagged everywhere they go. And those guys have got to be able to relieve some of that pressure, and they're capable of doing it if they want to.
When you say Kyle has to do his work early, what do you mean by that?
Be ready to catch the ball down, ready to catch it. I mean, he shouldn't be fumbling the ball. I mean, it's tight in there. Like we took him out, and I asked him, he said, I caught the ball, but he hit my elbow. Well, Grant and AD get hit every time they catch the ball. I mean, that's part of basketball. You got to be tough enough to get your arms up and fight through it, and you can do that by anticipating, because these guys want to throw him the ball. They will all tell you that they think he can score, but he's got to get his feet ready. He's got to know where he's going to get it. He's got to know where his spot is on the floor, and as soon as he catches it, knowing that teams are playing us with a packed-in defense, you don't have time to dribble the ball once or twice, especially in the lane. You got to catch it, turn, and get above people, and he's good at it. But he wants to, when he doesn't do his work early, he's behind. His feet aren't in the right position. Now he gets it. He feels he's got to dribble to get his feet right, and that's when he loses the ball. And like that one rollback was a great pass that I think Admiral threw him, and it hit him right in the hands, and he said he got hit on the elbow, but still he's got to play through that. I mean, there's always inadvertent contact like that, but that's again, where he's got to take that next step.
Rick, you mentioned thinking this was Bowden's best game of the year. Was that the type of performance you were hoping to spark from him, moving him to the bench, and how do you get that more consistently moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it helped him maybe. I mean, sometimes it does help players to have a chance to see how the game unfolds, and he was a difference tonight coming in there, because he brought – when you start a game, and Coach Lanier made a great point about this, and you guys know this, when you start subbing early in the game, you're wanting to do it because you've got your rotations in place. You know, a guy's going to play a couple minutes, you're ready to bring this guy in. What you don't want to do is go to the bench to bring energy in, because some guys out there that started aren't doing their job. And that's how we had to start the game tonight. Very first play, Kyle doesn't execute, that turns the ball over, absolutely no reason. Next time down the floor, Eve turns it over, no reason. And so we're not going to let it fester. And I want them to know that we've been talking about for a week now how important every possession is, and for us to go out and not be engaged like that, if you got to go to your bench and then you hope you got somebody that can come in the game that can make that, realize, okay, we got to get going here. And I thought Bowden did that tonight. I really did. I thought he did it. Actually, Folke did it too. When we took Kyle out and Eve out, and I think those two guys came in and we were definitely a little bit more smoother.
Rick, I know scheduling is the way it is sometimes, especially in December, but how do you approach a team kind of going a full week without a game? Do older teams handle that kind of stuff better, or in general?
Well, you think about where we are right now. We got some guys that banged up a little bit, that maybe we can get some of that under control a little bit. But this time of year is a very difficult time. It is, with exams starting, and guys want to play. They do. They really want to play. I really appreciate our fans, because there's a lot of places you look on TV where you play some of the games that we've played here this week, and people don't get excited. And our fans have been terrific. They really have. And so teams can get lethargic this time of year. And I thought that's how we started today. Because when you're turning the ball over on the first possession, not executing, you can say what you want to say, but it's being lethargic. It's not being prepared mentally. It's not being mentally tough enough. And that's the concern with our team. I mean, we should have more of this where we don't have that with our guys in terms of executing. We didn't, for as hard as we worked against their defense, and we really assimilated their defense really well in practice. We didn't get close to what we practiced today in the game, and that's very bothersome to me. Where we just didn't execute on the offense, move the ball, and again turn it over like we did. 13 turnovers. And a bunch of them were just, they're just ridiculous. But this time of year is tough. It is. But every team goes through it. What we want to do, though, is get back to where we can defend. And we had some segments of that today where we were really good defensively against a team that really runs good offense. They run hard offense. And some of our help defense was really good. Our zone was good. But it's about building to be consistent. And I will go back and say this team still hasn't totally identified who they're going to be yet. But it's early. We've played 7 games and have how many more non-league games? You guys have to tell me, probably halfway through it maybe, something like that. And so we've got until we get into conference play. All right, thank you guys.